guys, and welcome to Faith Works Designs. I'm Faith, and if you've noticed the videos have been kind of like every other week, it's because we've been having a sewing machine issue. I think we've got it resolved, which I will have in another video. I got a brand new baby to show you guys. But this week I want to take care of a project with hand sewing. I want to show you guys a special stitch that I just learned about 2 years ago. And I love it because I use it like all the time now. So I have this old quilt that I made roughly 5 years ago, I want to say, for my husband, and I'll try and find a picture and post it here. And I wanted to make something for Father's Day, and I found this really cool arrow print, and I thought it was really cool, but there was a lot of pieces to it. And I think in some spots where you see quilts come apart is because either like something you didn't backstitch, which I think was my issue. I had just had a baby, I was tired. Either you didn't backstitch or the thread just did not hold. And so some pieces of your quilt will come apart. And so I want to show you guys a stitch to show you how you can actually fix your quilts. So let's get started. Alright, so what I did was I grabbed some really dark fabric so you guys could actually see what I'm doing. And then I grabbed some white thread and a needle. I've doubled up my thread, and I think that's what I'm going to do with my quilt, since how it's so old. And so what I did was I took some regular pieces of fabric and I turned under the edges just so you guys could see. That's kind of like when you're putting your quilt pieces together, you're going to have your seam allowance in there, and it's going to be pressed down from all the pressing you did when you were doing your quilt, hopefully. Alright, the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to take our needle on one side. Let's pretend this is a block that has become unsewn. So we're going to take it on one side, and underneath of the seam allowance, we're going to go up underneath of our seam allowance, come up, and make sure you've got a nice little knot there. Okay. Now what we're going to do, and get these pins out of the way, is we're going to come over to our other side, the side that's directly across from this. Now with these two not being together, it's going to be kind of hard to do this, but what you're going to do is you're going to go in, hopefully my camera will focus, you're going to go in and out just a smidgen, just like that, and then you're going to come through and pull. Now what you're going to do, I would leave it kind of open a little bit so that you can kind of see what you're doing. Now what I'm going to do is go directly across. See where that string is going directly across? Sorry, my hand's all up in the way. The string is going directly across from here. You're going to put the needle in there and do the exact same thing. So I'm going to lift this up so you can see it. I'm going to go in here and then come out a little ways, just a smidge, pull it, just like that. Do you see how these stitches are right across from each other? Alright, now go back on the very opposite side. So you're just going back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And so just in the edge of that seam allowance, this might make more sense when I do it on my actual quilt, but my quilt was white and I'm going to be using white thread, so it'd be really hard to see. Maybe. But you see how the stitches are directly across from each other? Alright, now come back over here, and if you have to, you can put your string up like this to see where that needle needs to go. So, I've done this stitch. Oh my goodness, I have so many things I've closed up like this lately because I love how you don't see the stitches. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and just pull that a little bit, and you see on the outside that you can't see those stitches at all. That's why it's called the invisible stitch. It is really nice. So you just basically go back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Alright, so let me get my quilt, and then I will start on that and do a few places with you guys. Now hopefully you guys can see this. This is one of the places that I need to fix. You can see your seam allowance right here. It has shrunk up because you wash it afterwards. But anyway, this is one of the seams that I'm going to have to fix. So I'm going to grab my thread, and just like we did in practice, I'm going to start as far over as this little seam will let me. And now that I've got you where I want you, I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see what I'm doing. But your tail of your thread needs to be inside the quilt where you're not going to see it. So get ready to see my big mammoth hands now. Alright, so we're going to go right across and we're going to pick up a little bit of material and pull through. I wouldn't pull it taut until you're a little bit further away. So I'm just getting right in where the fabric is folded. Just like that, just where it's folded. And then on this side, I'm just going where I see where the fabric was folded. That little line there. And I probably should have put some beeswax on this thread. I can already tell. You're going to want to knot up on me. Make as small a stitches as you can. If you can't get it perfect, it's okay. But this is going to hold pretty well. And then, like I said, you're just going back and forth. See, I'm going to find right here because that string is going straight across. And then I'm just going where that fabric is folded in half. Now you guys can see a little better this part right here where it evened out really nicely. You just go a little distance and then pull your strings. I wouldn't go all the way up, that might be too much tension because I've got a seam here and a seam here. But I would go up there, pull it a little bit, and then start over again and go ahead and pull the rest of it. So I'm going to go ahead and finish this. And there you go. It's all put back together. I'm pretty sure I'm not going to have to worry about this coming unraveled again. But if you have small places like this that need to be fixed, that is a great way to go ahead, use an invisible stitch, and get those pieces put back together before it gets worse. Like the other quilts that I had showed you, you've got to take care of these things. As soon as you see them, make sure that you fix them, especially if there's something that you use on the regular. You need to go ahead and take care of these small places before they become big places. Alright guys, what did you think? I tried to keep it as simple as I could. Like I said, if you've got a really messed up quilt, you're really going to have to take that bad boy apart and take out every single stitch, because once you quilt the top, then you have to quilt the batting and the backing and all of that stuff together, and all of that is in your way when you're trying to fix like different patterns. So if it's in a huge mess, I would look around and see if there's somebody that specializes in that. But for smaller problem areas, the stitch that I showed you will help you fix those pretty quickly, and that way you can have your quilts back and on your beds. I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, you can give it a thumbs up. Or if you want to subscribe and see some of the other things we have coming up, you can click the subscribe button. Or if you have any questions or comments, you can leave those in the comment section down below, and I'll get to those right away. Thanks guys for joining us here on Faith Works Designs. Bye guys.